You can definitely increase your happiness by spending as much time as you can outside. Now, this will depend quite a lot on where you live, what sort of things you like doing, but if you can find some way to get out into the natural sunlight, it will increase your happiness. So, for example, if you live near water or you can get access to water, that's great, whether it's a river, a lake, or the sea, or the beach, all of that is good. Similarly, woods are fantastic. The older the better. Ideally, they wouldn't be man-made, they'd be natural woods. And any activity that takes you to places like that, so it might be horse riding, it might be walking a dog, and in fact any contact with animals increases our happiness because we are animals and we like to have contact with nature. It's natural for us to do that. So it's almost like a built-in thing that we want to have contact with nature. For a while I lived in London and I found myself becoming obsessed with indoor plants. I was buying all these plants and making cuttings and growing them, and my little flat I lived in became absolutely rammed, like a jungle of all this greenery that I was growing. And I'm sure that subconsciously I was just missing nature because I was in the middle of this grey concrete city. So it's built into us to really love greenery, animals, plants. And gardening, I actually think, is particularly good for happiness because not only are we in contact with nature, but also it's creative. And also, it can be sociable if you're doing the gardening with somebody else. And also, you get a sense of achievement because you can see things grow and you can see your finished garden the way that you originally designed it. So I think gardening actually works on all sorts of levels of happiness. But also, any kind of exercise that you can do out in nature is great because you're spending time in nature, but also you're getting an increase to your fitness. So anything from just a short walk, you don't have to be super fit or young to do this. Again, you might be doing it with a dog or not, but it could be running, even if you just slowly jog a short distance. There's a thing called hashing that some friends of mine are really into, which is a sort of sociable run where you have to solve problems as you go. And of course, cycling is another way to get out into the fresh air and to see plenty of scenery. So cycling, either mountain biking, off-road or on-road cycling, can be great. So the question for you then is, how are you going to get out into nature more? How are you going to get more sunlight, more fresh air, and more exercise?